we're gonna just go get rock and roll. So I don't know whether I call myself a credit union gal or payments or insurance. I think all of it, I've been in all of those places, but at the end of the day, I am a credit union girl. And I remember 27 years ago when I entered the room, my first, as a CEO of a credit union, the room was filled with white men, mostly, either bald or with no hair or gray hair. And it is such a delight to see in the course of last 27 years, the diversity. And I will tell you, D&I, for our organization as well as for me, is near. I would not be standing here if it was not the support that I've gotten from Bob Hafer to Ron Hans and all of those thinkers. So thank you. And I could not be more proud to be representing TruStage, the longest standing partner of this system. Our roots goes back to 90 years. 90 years. And throughout that time, I would say one thing, our unwavering commitment towards this industry, because strong credit union system means strong TruStage. And that unfolds, we began together and we stand together. Now I will tell you, in my current role as Chief Data Analytics Officer, our new CEO, Terrence, about a year ago, I believe it was shortly before Christmas, he pulled me in his office and said, I want you to really come in and step up in this role and really unify the data ecosystem for TruStage so we can operate as one TruStage and serve middle market consumers and be that most trusted, affordable provider of financial protection. Listen to my words, most trusted and most accessible provider of the middle market consumers throughout their life stages. What binds that, what makes it happen is the data. It's really the data, but also the ethical use of data. I will tell you, so it has been a journey in the course of last year and learning a lot, and this is where collaboration and networking really, really helps. Starts by really anchoring enterprise strategy, multi-year roadmap, but also knowing where we need to invest for the future, not for ourselves alone, for the credit union system as a whole. Because we are at a crossroad of exponential technology, whether it's sensors, whether it's embedded technology, whether it's Gen AI, and whatever the next thing will come, data is being collected and is being used that we don't even know by who and how. I remember many years ago when I was CEO of TMG, I was in a symposium, First Data had, and General Petraeus was sitting in the crowd and asked the question, I understand all of you are big shot CEOs of GSPs and processors, etc. Just raise hand, because in this audience, there's two kind of people, those who've been hacked and they know it, and everybody else. So decide which camp you fall in. And that was just like really, really an iconic moment. And so that being the case, the focus is really understanding where the data is, but not more importantly, shoring up data governance, AI governance, making sure data access, data usage, data rights, data privacy, consent. Why? Because credit union members do not distinguish. Privacy and personalization is an and proposition. It is not either or. Data integrity and data ethics have to be non-negotiable table stake as we look to forward. So as we look as an industry, we do know we are at a crossroad. We have challenges, and to combat the challenges, some of the things, three things that I will hit on, which I hope the panelists will also morph in. One is fragmentation leads to inefficiency. So when I mean fragmentation, means fragmented, antiquated technology, data foundation, because it doesn't allow you to drive one-to-many type of, whether it's compliance management, whether it's efficiency, whether it's process. So address standards. Standards is how you drive interoperability. You've seen that. It works out in the payments world. Your card works everywhere globally. So as we are moving to the future, we will see harmonization of that data standards, that how it can be used. Second, security. And when I'm talking about security, I'm talking about risk, I'm talking about governance, I'm talking about access, I'm talking about privacy, I'm talking about all of those. It has to be an L-compass, really a holistic proposition, a framework. And third but not least is scale. And how do you get scale? This is where this room and this powerhouse can be effective. You know why? Through collaboration and through innovation. Collaboration, there are a lot of work we're doing. Reach out. We can more than happy to share what's working, what's not working, what are the challenges. And there's the innovation. I think one of the panelists said earlier, let's challenge the status quo. Let's not do the more of the same. Let's just question how it can be done, why it is not being done, and how we can move the needle. Because if you're standing still, it's irrelevancy. So I would say, individually, we are all vulnerable, all of us. But together, sticks in a bundle, unbreakable. So let's do it. With that, I'm going to hand off
to Rahul.
Rahul to get going.
Hello, everyone. This is my third underground event. It's been a pleasure every time, so thank you for having me. My wife and I were talking about, she works in financial crime, and last week we were having a conversation around a data breach, and my wife said, it's the fact that people are living digital lives that's causing the problem. And I didn't say anything. I was like, my wife's always right. I'm not going to argue that statement. But at Talkdesk, we are in the contact center business, and we see our customers are getting attacked every single day. There's inbound fraud, there's outbound fraud, and it's not the fact that your data was compromised in a data breach. Fraudsters, we all know, are the smartest guys in the room. They are creating and working every single day to break down your processes, your data, and your members' data. So, and this has been in the last 12 to 18 months, I can tell you, we have spoken to each and every credit union customer of ours who's having the same problem. So it's an industry-wide problem, and I know B for bank is a bad word, probably, but it's not just the credit unions, it's the banks as well. So how do you think about this? I think you need to think about three things: your data, your processes, and the technology that you have access to. A combination of all of these three things can help you. So when I talk about processes, I still have conversations with credit union leaders to this day, and I ask them, so how are you identifying your members? How are you authenticating them? Oh, we use a social security number. Oh, we use a member ID in combination with a date of birth or a last four of an account number. Is that safe? It isn't. So when you think about your processes, you need to start thinking about how do we create a process where we can continue to bring in more and more steps into the member journey, which minimizes the risk to our members and our customers. So for example, if somebody is asking for a balance, yes, you can probably use their voice as an authentication mechanism and give them the balance. But if they need to transfer money, if they need to initiate a wire, maybe you need to think about something else. So how do you bring in these gate checks in your process where you're continuously analyzing the risk to your organizations as well as to your members? That's one. I think the data always tells a story. There's enough data. You're having hundreds and thousands, and in case you're of your size, millions of conversations every day. Look at your data. There is technology out there that can help you identify patterns. One of our customers, they're in the prepaid world, again, a big area for inbound fraud. Leveraging some of the technology that Talkdesk offers, they have now been able to identify typical patterns, and they do it not as a one-time exercise, they do it every day. They have a dedicated team that is looking at the data. They're identifying patterns, and with AI, now they are able to generate real-time sensors, which notifies their workforce around some of these patterns and guides them to what they should be doing. These are some of the ways that you should be looking at it. And I will tell you, it's real. Just the prepaid customer that I talked about, just in the last 6 months, by doing this, they've been able to save over $2 million and prevent fraud that was happening in their business. The final thing I would say is also don't stick to the status quo. What has worked for you all for all of these years is not going to work in the future. So continue to challenge yourselves, continue to work with your technology providers, because technology is there, but it's also your willingness to be change drivers and be willing to embrace technology that can help you and guide you through the journey is important. So that's it. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to the rest of the day today.
Thank you, Lisa. Your thoughts?
Thank you. So the name of our panel is Who Has Your Social Security Number? And I would say, who's still getting your Social Security number? I don't know if any of you heard my story at Money 2020 Underground, but last September I came back to the credit union movement and opened an account in my backyard in Seattle. And one of the first steps in that relationship was I got a screen of privacy not from that credit union. I have no idea who it was. I was in a member mode, not a business mode, so I didn't screenshot it. But it was like, what is this? And why is it happening? Is this screen scraping? How many of you know about screen scraping? Okay. How many of you love screen scraping? No one, and we shouldn't. It is risky, it is antiquated, it is not member-centric at all. And when we think about who's got your information, when you're giving vital credentials to establish a relationship with your credit union through a third party, that is risky. So we can't really answer who has our Social Security number. I'm still at risk with this organization, but that's not the point. The point is, through working together, and again, that collaboration of the movement, we're working very closely with AWS, with Mambu, on this initiative with MSA on the Cuss. It's about providing data sharing and privacy securely. So let's talk about security, right? The whole open banking concept and words has been a cuss word for credit union executives. I've interviewed many CEOs from the biggest to the smallest, and all I hear is open banking is increasing our risk, increasing the privacy concerns, and by the way, gonna cost us money. I wanna challenge you to flip that thinking. Open banking is really about creating member empowerment and a relationship based on that data securely with the financial, with your credit union. So, you know, there's one, we have to obliterate the screen scraping, and it's still happening. I don't know if I was screen scraped, but I still have a zero balance on that account 6 months later. Next, with that member empowerment, control and own your own data. Don't let the data aggregators do this. Let's work together in this credit union space to protect our members. And lastly, and it will be about a technology, and it's not just for technology's sake, the alternative to screen scraping through open banking is about standardized APIs, standardized consent and authorization management, and it is something we can work together on. So we don't know who has your Social Security or mine, but let's stop it from happening now. Oh, you've got
Great. Thank you, George.
Yeah, thank you. So first off, I'd like to say I'm very humbled being here today. This is my third underground at this location, and I remember the first time I was here, the only person I knew was Sue, and I was standing back there by myself. And coming in today, the number of people that hugged me, said hello, the friendships that I've formed over the last 3 years have been incredible and very, very endearing. So I'm very humbled being here. I want to talk a little bit, I'm going to pivot a little bit here on how we're talking about this and how we're thinking about it, because it's very important. I just read an article that was talking about anxiety. And one of the symptoms that they said that not only perpetuates anxiety but makes it worse It's telling yourself that you're anxious, right? Telling yourself that I'm anxious. Oh, I have anxiety. That makes it worse. You know, in technology, we love, and the media loves this, everybody, it's a revolution. AI is a revolution. Security is a revolution. We got this, everything is, you know, open banking, a revolution. I'm going to propose that everybody start thinking about these things as evolution. And the reason is that revolutions are very messy. There's a lot of destruction that comes with it, okay? Sometimes they're not positive. They're actually for the negative. But evolution is trial and error, right? It's you go through, and most importantly, it's also about different environments. So, you know, right here we're talking about diversity, and you know, one of the key factors about credit union is how diverse and different they are. Their communities are different. We've been talking about this over and over again. And so why is it important the way we frame this? It's important because, you know, when I hear some of the folks talking, and you know, my stuff is out there already. I've been hacked. It's not whether you've been hacked, whether you will, you've already been hacked, right? These are all things that all of a sudden then start reducing. That's why most Americans really don't care anymore who has their social security number, because they've been desensitized to the point of, well, it's already out there, you know, what do I care? What we need to think about is how do we evolve and continue to reinforce and make these systems secure. You know, right now, everyone here, for the most part, traveled. TSA doesn't even look at your boarding pass anymore. They have you look at a camera. They're doing biometrics. That's already there. So what does that tell me? That tells me that that's something we're going to have to incorporate at some point down the line, whether it's with our phones, you know, whether it's on a computer. It's coming. It's already there. People expect that. So if we reframe that, and we reframe the way we think about this, and this is an evolutionary process, then we could adapt to our audience, to our members, to our vendors, to our partners, as needed, as we go along. And I'd like to end with, real quick, there's an Italian saying called festina lente that I've loved for a long time. And what it means is, you know, hurry slowly, okay? Hurry slowly, and you know, speed is everything. At AWS, we want to help you move as fast as you can tolerate and take it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that you're making the right fast moves. Okay, so with that, I'll pass it over to Anshul.
Thanks so much, and thank you, Sue, MSA Underground, for having us. This is the fourth time Mambu is representing at the Underground, which is a great honor, and second time me representing in a panel with a really good panel here. My colleagues, I would say, we work very closely. I think where I want to start is, I mean, I'll pick on the cuss word that Lisa, you use, which is open banking, right? And often open banking, of course, is something that causes anxiety. It, of course, means that data is going to be shared from one platform to another. How is that data going to be used? So there are a lot of questions around it, and I would take this opportunity to like position this in a much more positive note, right? I think open banking is a partnership that a financial institution such as a credit union can have with another fintech, right? And let me lay the land a little bit more. I would say there are three personas of interest when it comes to open banking. One is, I would call the incumbent, which is the credit union. Another would be, you know, there could be multiple third parties, but mostly these are fintechs that are operating, innovating in a separate space that is not directly competitive with a credit union. And the third most important, which is the member, right? So how these three work together is what I want to like, you know, sort of touch upon a little bit more. Of course, at the crux of it, it's about sharing the members' financial data. And how this works is that a credit union will, with the consent of the member, which is I think most important, in a very secure, encrypted, tokenized way, share data with a third party, which is a fintech, that is bringing in a unique proposition for the member, which currently maybe or may not, the credit union is not able to provide. For instance, if there is an aggregator proposition where there is, you have 12 accounts across different banks, credit unions coming all together, which gives you a 360 view of your finances. It can help you decide where to invest. It can give you a saving strategy. It can help you budget. So those are some of the benefits that the end member can experience through open banking. And the bottom line is that, of course, data is being shared, and with technology evolving, with cyber, of course, so much data out there, there are more cybersecurity risks. But I think what technology is also providing is answers to that, how that can be, how you can at every checkpoint understand where the data is going, what permissioning can you grant, how long would that data be shared, or who's the end beneficiary, how can you revoke permissions. So I think those are all aspects of open banking and data sharing that we should be aware about, not just from a financial data perspective, but also there's so much social data like Instagram, Facebook, we're being constantly bombarded by recommendations. I think it's also an opportunity for credit unions to educate the members, not just around financial data, social data, and how this data is shared, and what are the controls that are put in place, and the consumer has the right, has the appropriate control to keep those data from not getting into the wrong hands, not being resold, things that are, of course, more critical when it comes to financial data. But I think the skepticism around open data can be, we can look at it in another way when we think about a partnership instead of something that's a competitive threat to credit unions. I think it's a partnership. There's an opportunity to explore new revenue streams by working together, bringing better member experience, giving more power to the members, giving them things that a credit union itself cannot provide holistically, because of course, technology implementation timelines, we've all been through that. We understand things take time. Outsource innovation, increase efficiency by sharing that data, and your member would benefit a lot more. And I think there are a lot of partners out there who are willing to partner with credit unions in the space. And I've been working with the whole team for a while, and I think we see that traction happening. Credit unions are more open to partnering with fintechs and not seeing them as a threat, but as seeing them as a partner for long-term growth.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all the panelists. So couple takeaways. One is reach out, collaborate, and know you're not alone, and let's innovate together. And second thing would be data and AI literacy has to be permanent business discipline, permanent business competency. So that is where I think all of us can do better in educating our own selves, our teams, and also membership. And thank you so much.
Thank you.